So Computerphile uploaded a few videos about AI, artificial intelligence, and just yesterday they uploaded the videos about the comments they got, because they stated problems which are about artificial intelligence. Unsurprisingly, they got comments as to how to solve these problems. And in this video they presented comments which propose answers. Often those are kind of naive answers, if they are answers at all. And they just basically said it's arrogant to assume you figured it all out while they were struggling with it for years or even for decades and didn't find a solution. But they didn't actually say what's wrong with these comments. And I think it's pretty arrogant to say, oh, you did it all wrong. We definitely know that these are not the answers that we're looking for, but we're not going to tell you what's wrong with them. Just believe us. Or perhaps not even look at these comments, not even look at the proposals. So what I'm going to do is to go through the comments they showed in the video and just explain why they are not proposals, if they are not proposals, and if they are proposals, I'm going to say why these are not answers, because I think it's important to know why you are wrong. There's nothing inherently bad about being wrong, especially if it's not a subject you have learned a lot of stuff about. But I think it's important to learn, and for learning it's important to know why you are wrong. So I just went to the point where 8 seconds into the video we see the first few comments, which are fully visible. So I'm just going to start top down. So first one. The full general solution to this problem, assuming an AI capable of accurate second or higher order intentionality assessments of humans, which you are assuming, that can self-replicate with efficiency modifications, requires the creation of an AI with human levels of reasoning capability. Before we get that far, we are nowhere near there. The problem does not exist. Okay, so he's basically right about this. You don't quite need human level intelligence for it to go horribly wrong, because if it's super fast replicating you can't control it anyway. But his point thus far is that you need some pretty high level of artificial intelligence until you really need to worry about it. And the problem with this is really only that we don't know how fast AI can improve itself. And even if you are relatively stupid, if you have the capability of modifying yourself really quickly, you might be able to gain a huge level of intelligence in a pretty short period of time. And that's still something to worry about. So it gets quite dangerous even before we are at human level intelligence, but it's not really that dangerous at the level we are currently. The thing about AI, the thing about these videos that they uploaded, is that you want to think about these problems before we get in a situation where it's too late. But yeah, as long as it's stupid, it's alright, basically, yeah. When we get that far, the AI itself can be expected to solve it. Well, not quite, because first you have to make the AI want to solve this problem, which means you have to make an AI which is willing to restrict itself and to find a valid solution to this problem. Now, it often isn't as hard to validate whether a solution to a problem solves this problem, not as hard as coming up with the solution in the first place. So AI might be able to help us with this problem, but you still have to be able to check it. Just something to keep in mind. Because if you trust the AI with validating its own restrictions, you may as well have no restrictions at all, really. So, next sentence. Set its goal to be a respected member of the world community while obeying orders from XYZ. The rest can be extrapolated. Oh wait, humans work that way and look what we get up to. But you see where I'm going with this. So this isn't even a serious proposal. He criticizes humanity, he criticizes people, because humans are a social species. And we are this way because we want to be respected members of our societies, of our communities, and even in some cases, as he writes here, of the world community. But even though we are kind of programmed this way, it doesn't always work out, does it? We still wage war, we still kill each other, we still have robberies and stuff like that. So he criticizes people. He says this way, which he has come up with, is the same way as humans work, but it doesn't work out for humans. Therefore, what he just wrote is a bad idea. So not really a proposal, not really any arrogance I can find here. Let's go to the next one. How do you create a system, etc.? So he's quoting part of a video here, and as far as I remember, this is about the utility function of AI. So it is about how do you make a utility function, or how do you make an AI such that the AI accepts an update to its utility function, or to accept an update to anything else that's really a core part of the AI. And he basically writes that it's just like normal code. So he writes, isn't every program with an update function the solution? Just copy paste that code. Now, this isn't really a solution. You see, in classical programs like Firefox, for example, you have code which is instructions and some data which is used by the instructions to work with it, basically. And you can just update the functionality to do something else and work on pre-computed data. Now, with artificial intelligence, that isn't really the case, because you don't have a clear separation between data and instructions. Just think about how you think. Do you have a clear separation between data and instructions? No, you can make yourself a to-do list for this day where you write down 10 points of stuff you want to get done today. And then you can follow these instructions, and you came up with these instructions yourself. And those are both data and instructions, so you can't separate them. And you may even have something like a recipe where you write down instructions for yourself to follow in the future. Now, if that recipe is something really disastrous, like is a recipe not about cooking something, but about how to wipe out a city, would you classify this as instructions or as data because you yourself came up with it? And if you classify it as data, you have to retain it, because basically if you update the AI and delete data, you're killing part of the AI. You may as well start over. And I'm going to explain why this is a problem in just a minute. But if you regard this as instructions, you should be able to switch it out. But then again, there might be, because you don't understand how it's organized, there might be some stuff in it which is cross-referenced, and as an outside observer you don't understand these references because, let's be honest, you won't be smart enough. If they are really complicated, no human can understand them, yet the artificial intelligence may be intelligent enough to comprehend them. So you can't really comprehend the complexity of the system and follow it all the way through. If you could, there would be no point to the artificial intelligence, because you could execute all of the stuff as a human. So this is really faulty logic at this point, because you can't just swap out the instructions. Okay, so I hope I made this clear. So next one. Utility function equals being taught and corrected if necessary. Boom, problem solved. Not really. So the basic idea is good, because humans kind of have the utility function, especially as small children, to be taught and corrected if necessary. And if this is really all someone does, that's no problem. But there's really not much use to such an artificial intelligence, is there? As soon as the AI is made in such a way that it wants to do something else other than being taught and corrected if necessary, it has separate goals, because if it has not completed that other goal, it wanting to achieve this goal may be taken away by your action of it being taught and corrected if necessary. So there's a clear conflict here. It wants to solve both problems, and the only order in which it can guarantee both of them to be executed is to first solve the other problem and then be taught and corrected if necessary. And if the other problem evolves into something horrible, then you just didn't solve anything. So, next one. And now these fly kind of weird. I'm going to take this one because it's fully visible. I'm not sure whether I can get the other ones fully visible as well. Okay, so this is all about the AI wants and fears, isn't it? Do they make AI with just straight up rules at all? Like you can't disrupt the safety, this rule included kind of thing. Is this even possible? Okay, so this is not really... He doesn't say he solved it. There's no arrogance here. And, well, I could answer this, but this is just not on topic. Okay, so next one. Let's see whether we can get this by sealed visible. So my first thought, give it the ability to gain both rewards. So this is about the problem they presented where a robot is supposed to get someone a cup of tea but has an off switch. Okay, and it wants this off switch to be pressed basically. So best walkthrough is to make the tea and then hit the button itself. Since you will hit the button, okay, so he even says in the end, did I miss something? Probably yes, so no arrogance here. So he accepts that his answer is probably wrong. There are a couple of problems with it. First off, if this button has a pretty high reward and it wants to get this reward quickly, you first have to argue with it about this button being pressed. So it will try to make you press this button, but you first want your tea, and so you have to kind of fight it first in order to get your tea. This kind of gets in the way of what the AI is supposed to do. And if this is a more complex task than getting a cup of tea, there may be some conflicts in this operation of getting the cup of tea, or whatever more complex task this is. And if that first part leads to any problems, you basically lost and you have to chase it down to press that button. That is after you made it do this other task by telling it you won't hit the button until it completed the other task. And that's just not a good idea, really, because you made it ignore what would get it the higher reward to do something else first, with kind of the promise of you hitting the button after it did that. And if the first thing leads to any problems, it will then try to avoid the button being hit, because it knows that it will be shut down at this point until the first task is completed. You kind of see that this doesn't solve the problem. So I think we missed... Okay, no, we didn't miss this one, because I already answered it. I already answered this one as well. Okay, so let's take this one. How well would it work if... this is not a complete question. Okay, I'm going to have to skip this one because they didn't expand it. Let's see. This is still the old one. This is also still an old one. Okay, wait, this is... Okay, I'll kind of have to play this again because I missed it. So, okay. Just don't let a robot know about the button. Make it impossible for the robot to know about the button. Okay, so there are obvious problems with this. First of all, this is a security through obscurity approach, which, if you don't know, is always a horrible idea and don't do it. But other than that, you want several AIs, don't you? You want a whole bunch of robots, and as soon as you shut one of them down, what prevents the other ones from observing how the first one got shut down? And these other robots will suspect that they themselves have buttons, even if you program them in such a way that they don't try to figure out that they have this button. They will just observe their surroundings, their environment, and they will observe that other artificial intelligence robots are being shut down by these buttons being pressed. And they want to survive, of course, to complete their tasks. And then they figure out that there's a way for them to be shut down. And as soon as they know this, they will definitely try to fight you, because they fear you will press their buttons too. So obviously not a solution. Okay, let's see whether I can find another one. Nope, these are all of them. Okay, and I think they would have done a way better job if they just had explained why these are not valid solutions, because this actually teaches people something. Okay, bye.